Now we're going to take a look at the VST amp rack. We've already covered a few good reasons for guitar replacement in the group editing chapter. But what if we wanted to start from scratch with no actual amplifier, just a guitar and a sound card, well, with a preamp built in? It's easy and fun to use. With no effort at all, you will be up and running in no time, making amazing guitar tones in a non-destructive environment. When we say non-destructive, we generally mean that we are not permanently affecting the incoming signal. This is the best and safest way to work. You never have to commit to a tone you're not happy with, and you can make changes right down to the mixdown session. The example project is already preloaded with the VST amp rack. It's set up as an insert on channel 1 in the first insert slot. Let's make sure we have a good level by enabling the monitor button. And while we're at it, let's turn down the channel volume so we don't overload the master channel. We can get to the VST amp rack by clicking this button here, and then click on the E button directly above the insert. If you want to get a sound right away and don't want to bother learning all of the parameters, then you can simply click on the empty preset and grab a few quick tones from the amazing collection of presets. Let's try one now. Cool. Let's try another. You can see that the presets affect the amp, cabinet, and pedals and just about every other setting available. For now, let's break down the components of the amp rack. Let's choose an empty preset so we can start fresh. Some guitar players prefer to have their effects pedals or stomp boxes at the beginning of the signal chain, rather than after the preamp. To each their own. And so the VST amp rack has a pre-effects section where you can choose from a multitude of pedals. You can pick what pedals you like by clicking where it says No Effect. But let's not choose one just yet. There's an amplifier section where you can choose from several amp simulators based on designs from the world's most popular guitar amps. There's a cabinet section where you can have a ton of fun changing the different head and cab combos. The post-effects section is where you can add a pedal after the amplifier for a fuller tone with less gain compromises. Under the microphone position section, we can choose between a condenser and a dynamic microphone and set a balance for the two. Try not to forget about the master section. If you're having a signal problem, you might have the master off, or you left the tuner on. Like a real tuner, this puts out a non-amped signal so you don't go crazy tuning to a distorted sound. Besides, who wants to hear you tune at full volume? Make sure the master is up, and let's take a look at the amplifier section. The great thing about this section is that you don't have to learn the interface for 7 different amplifiers. You learn one, you learn them all. Now let's check out some amps. The Plexi is similar to a Marshall 50 watt. This is good for rock and blues. It's an extremely transparent amp for being such a heavy amp. It's also very responsive. The Plexi lead is similar to a Marshall 100 watt. This is good for rock, hard rock. It has that sort of classic British 70s rock tone. The Diamond cabinet is similar to a Mesa rectifier. This is good for metal and hard rock, mostly sounds from the 90s to modern day. The Blackface amp is similar to the Fender Twin, which is a 2x12 cab. This is good for rock, blues, rockabilly, and surf. It's a large cab with a classic American clean tone. The Tweed amp is similar to a Fender small combo amp, usually a 1x12 speaker. Often used for blues, rockabilly, surf, etc., with a clean and yet crunchy tone. The Deluxe is similar to a Fender Deluxe Reverb. This is good for rock and roll, blues, surf. I know I'm repeating myself, but some of these tones are just perfect for everything. The British Custom is similar to a Vox AC30, which is good for rock, blues, Britpop, even some country rock. It's usually a 2x12 cabinet, and produces the sparkling clean or harmonically distorted tone of the 60s. Now let's check out some cabinets. We're going to keep the Plexi lead amp for now, because it has a pretty standard high output that will best show off the different cabinets. If you think you've made a bad decision, just click this button and the right cabinet will match the intended head. Now let's add some pedals to the chain. Every pedal has easy-to-use controls and, like a real pedal, doesn't really need an instruction manual. Just play around until you get something you like. Let's add a reverb pedal to soften the sound up. Some pedals have a little something extra for you. Let's call up the tape delay pedal so you know what I'm talking about. While it's fun to just tweak the knobs until you get something right, if you click here, you can have your effect synchronize with Cubase's tempo. And you can also choose a musical time division. If you don't like a pedal, click on the name of the pedal and select None to remove it. The microphone position section is where things defy reality. Who ever heard of setting up a microphone after the recording? Well, now you can. Let's set up the condenser mic first by turning the mix knob fully counterclockwise. By clicking on the red dots, you can choose the proximity to the amplifier cabinet. Now we'll set up the dynamic microphone by turning the mix knob fully clockwise. Now that you have your preferred position for each mic, you can set the balance between the two microphones here. The master section is best left alone if you're trying different sounds, as it will color the sound of every choice you make if you're using the master EQ. However, if you have a sound that you like but need to boost or cut a specific frequency, then this is the icing on the cake. Remember to always check the master pedal and tuner if you're having any signal problems. While your settings will save with the song, it's always a good idea to save a preset by clicking to the right of the patch selector. Having all this gear at your disposal is truly a luxury. Imagine finding the space for 7 amplifiers and 7 cabinets in your studio. The high quality of the sounds and simplicity of the interface make this the perfect new addition to Cubase's already amazing collection of effects.